Most people think that because they've stocked some food, water, or a few gadgets, they're ready for any collapse. The hard truth is this: most so-called prepared people will not make it through the first 90 days after Shtf. That's a terrifying reality, but it's also your wake-up call. The difference between those who live and those who become statistics isn't luck, it's strategy. Today, I'll show you exactly what actions separate survivors from casualties. Forget Hollywood survival fantasies. This is about cold, calculated moves in the most dangerous 90-day stretch of your life, where hesitation means failure and failure means death. Right now, you need to know not just what to stockpile, but what to do when everything around you collapses. The relevance of this cannot be overstated. It doesn't matter if the crisis is a grid-down blackout, a devastating war, a global economic crash, or a natural disaster that spirals into chaos. Your challenges will follow the same deadly timeline. Panic in the first 24 hours, violence rising by the end of the first week, starvation and sickness spreading after the first month. By 90 days, only those who adapted, learned, and executed a real plan will be left standing. The system you once depended on will be gone, and the rules that kept society together will have vanished with it. If you don't prepare for these stages, then your gear, your food, and even your determination won't matter. That's why this guide matters right now, before it's too late. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn a proven roadmap for the first 90 days of collapse, broken down into the exact phases you'll face, step by step. And here's the catch: if you miss even one of these details, your preparation could become worthless. Because prepping isn't about what you have, it's about what you do, when you do it, and how you stay invisible while everyone else loses control. So let's dive into the timeline of survival. Starting with the most critical hours, the first 24, where the smallest decision can determine everything that follows. The first 24 hours are deceptive because they often feel calmer than they really are. Most people are in shock, clinging to the idea that authorities will fix things or that normal life will return. But for a real survivor, those hours are the window to act. This is where the Greyman protocol becomes your lifeline. That means blending into the chaos, not drawing attention, and observing silently while others panic. Information is your most valuable weapon. You must evaluate your environment, locate immediate threats, and gather news about the scope of the crisis. Don't rush to use your stockpiles. Don't show off resources. Invisibility is survival. Fail here, and you might not even make it to day 2. By day 4 through day 14, reality sets in for the unprepared. Supplies run out, desperation spikes, and the first waves of violence erupt. Neighbors who once smiled at you will now fight over food. Strangers will become predators searching for victims. This is the phase I call the desperation wave. To survive it, you must master discretion. Stay unseen, keep your resources hidden, and avoid confrontations that can spiral out of control. Every light, sound, or careless movement could put a target on your back. This is when blending in with scarcity, rather than broadcasting abundance, keeps you alive. If you make it through this stage, you've already outlasted a majority of people. Between days 31 and 60, consumption alone stops being an option. The stockpiles you once relied on are dwindling, and the world outside is no safer than before. This is the phase of transition where you must shift from consuming resources to producing them. Water collection, basic agriculture, food preservation, and energy alternatives are no longer optional skills. They're essential. If you're not generating, you're fading. Then comes days 61 through 90, where the true test of sustainability begins. Here, your systems, whether they're gardens, improvised energy setups, or community ties, must prove reliable. This is the crucible that separates the survivors from the last wave of casualties. But the story doesn't end here, because to pass this stage, you'll need more than supplies. You'll need knowledge backed by history and hard lessons already written in blood. You might be wondering, how do we know these patterns? Why believe this 90-day roadmap? The answer lies in evidence. Across history, from the fall of Rome to modern Venezuela, and through 23 major societal collapses studied worldwide, the same sequence repeats itself. Shock, panic, violence, scarcity, and then the struggle for sustainability. It's not guesswork. It's not theory. It's proven by data, by human behavior, and by the sobering truth that when systems fail, people revert to primal instincts. The difference is whether you anticipate those instincts or get crushed by them. Numbers don't lie. Studies show that during crises, theft and violence increase by over 400% within the first 2 weeks. While organized gangs typically form by the second month, these patterns are as reliable as gravity. As your narrator, I'm not spinning a movie script. I'm giving you the real deal, the same survival strategies drawn from military tactics, prepper research, and historical analysis. When I say invisibility saves lives, it's because records show that those who avoided drawing attention during past collapses outlived those who tried to dominate early. When I talk about transitioning from consumer to producer, it's spontaneous because every collapse shows the same trend. Only those who adapted skills beyond stockpiling endured long term. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to prepare you with what history has already screamed at us again and again. And this leads us directly into the survival lessons you can't ignore. Because understanding the timeline and knowing the statistics is one thing, but applying it with specific skills is another. If you don't know how to stay invisible, protect yourself from violence, or transform limited resources into systems that sustain you, then all the historical knowledge in the world won't save you. So let us break down the exact skills and lessons that transform a 90-day survivor into someone who can outlast the collapse entirely. The first lesson is invisibility, and it starts in the earliest 72 hours. The Greyman concept is simple but powerful. Look ordinary, act ordinary, and avoid drawing eyes at all costs. That means no flashy gear, no loud generators humming when neighbors are in the dark, no boasting about your food supply. In a crisis, curiosity is dangerous, and desperation makes people reckless. Your goal is to fade into the background so completely that no one suspects you have anything worth taking. Information gathering also falls under this principle, moving silently, listening more than you speak, and carefully filtering who, if anyone, you trust. Invisibility isn't weakness. It's the smartest form of defense. Fail here, and you risk becoming a target before you've even had a chance to fight for survival. The second lesson is anticipating violence. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Once desperation rises, violence becomes organized. Petty thefts turn into raids, and lone aggressors become gangs. Studies of collapses reveal this shift happens predictably within the first 2 weeks. To navigate it, you need strategies, concealment of supplies, layered defenses, and if necessary, the ability to deter without escalating. Sometimes silence saves you, but sometimes controlled disclosure is the better tools, showing you're not the weakest target without revealing your true strength. Think of it as playing chess in a world where every piece around you is armed with hunger and fear. Violence is predictable, but your response determines whether you survive its waves or drown in them. The third lesson is mastering the hierarchy of skills. Stockpiles run dry, batteries die, but skills endure. The first tier is production, securing water through filtration or collection, preserving food, and improvising energy sources. The second tier is multiplication, gardening, repairing broken tools, or treating wounds to extend resources. And the third tier is reconstruction, engineering small systems, forming trusted community networks, or assuming leadership when chaos stabilizes into fragile order. Without this progression, you'll be stuck consuming until there's nothing left. With it, you're building a future rather than just surviving a present. And that brings us to the critical shift from surviving days to surviving decades, because survival isn't only about 90 days. It's about creating sustainability beyond them. Most preppers stop at stockpiles, thinking that a basement filled with cans is enough. The truth is, no amount of storage alone will carry you past 90 days. Food spoils, water runs out, and medicine expires. What separates those who endure from those who fail is a plan that stretches beyond the short term. Survival and collapse isn't about what you have, it's about what you can create when what you have disappears. That means shifting from the mindset of a consumer to that of a producer, from someone waiting for rescue to someone who becomes their own system. Without that shift, your 90 days might be your last days. And that's exactly why you need to think further than the average prep. After 90 days, the world doesn't magically reset. Systems don't just switch back on. If anything, 90 days is only the beginning of a new reality. Those who failed to adapt are already gone, and the survivors left around you will be harder, smarter, and more desperate. It's not just about lasting longer than your neighbor, it's about building a way of life in which scarcity is managed and resources are renewed. This is where agriculture, foraging, tool repair, and renewable energy aren't hobbies but lifelines. If you neglect these skills, your survival clock is already ticking down. With them, you extend your future indefinitely, step by step. And this is why knowledge surpasses supplies every single time. Stockpiles are finite, but the ability to produce, repair, and adapt is infinite. Long-term thinking transforms collapse from an endless fight into a sustainable way forward. It gives you not just survival, but resilience. And here's where we bring in the missing piece. Most preppers ignore outside knowledge, condensed into resources you can learn now before chaos begins. Because while you can practice gardening or water filtration, there are countless forgotten skills that you need to absorb before the lights go out. And that brings us directly to the resource that can change your survival journey forever. If you're serious about outlasting the first 90 days and building beyond them, you need more than just a video. You need a manual of forgotten technique skills that our grandparents used every day, but that most people today have never even heard of. That's why I've left a link in the description for a guide that compiles these lost survival methods into one place. It's not theory, it's not fluff, it's actionable knowledge that could save your life when the system collapses. If you've ever wondered how to make food last without refrigeration, how to produce clean water from natural sources, or how to keep your tools and shelter functioning under constant stress, this guide covers it. And the time to learn it is before the collapse, not during. Think of this as your bridge from short-term to long-term survival. Right now, most people only prepare for consumption, but as we've already seen, that plan collapses by the second month. This resource equips you with the next step, turning scarcity into sustainability. It's a way to ensure that your 90 days aren't just a countdown, but a foundation. Because in a world where everything crumbles, knowledge is the only currency that grows with use. And the best part? Once you learn these methods, no one can take them from you. Unlike stockpiles, knowledge can't be stolen, raided, or burned. It stays with you, no matter what. So before we close this roadmap, here's your choice. Do nothing and hope the system never fails. Or prepare with the skills that make you unshakable. Because in the end, collapse isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. And when it does come, those who invested in knowledge will rise above the chaos, while the rest scramble too late. But before we finish, there's one final truth you need to hear, one that ties everything together and defines whether you simply survive or actually rebuild. Let's end with the ultimate principle of survival. Why knowledge is greater than gear, and why resilience is the only real victory. Survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about redefining life after collapse. Stockpiles, weapons, and even shelters can be taken from you in an instant. But the knowledge in your mind, the skills in your hands, and the resilience in your spirit are untouchable. That's why the greatest survivors in history weren't the ones with the biggest hordes, but the ones who could adapt, improvise, and teach others. When the first 90 days end, and the weak have fallen away, the survivors who thrive are the ones who invested in themselves, not just their storage. This is the ultimate truth that too many ignore. Survival isn't about stuff, it's about you. And that's the final test. The next 90 days after Shtf are not just about surviving the collapse, they're about learning how to never again be dependent on a fragile system. Every blackout, every empty shelf, every violent night is a reminder that reliance on the old world is a death sentence in the new one. The real prepper doesn't just outlast the collapse, he builds a new order within it. And you, if you've listened carefully, now have the roadmap to do the same. The power is in your hands, not in a warehouse, not in a government, not in a bank account. It's in your knowledge, your preparation, and your will to endure. So as you step away from this video, ask yourself one question. If the world collapsed tonight, would you be part of the majority that perishes, or the minority that adapts and survives? The answer depends on the choices you make right now. Prepare not just for today, but for the 90 days that follow and the lifetime beyond them. Because survival isn't about holding on until rescue. It's about becoming someone who never needs rescuing. And if you're ready for that, then you're ready to face whatever collapse comes your way.
Are you one of them? Really? While you might think you can get by with the resources in your local area, this is not always the case. In the event of a natural, civil, economic, or man-made disaster, the utilities and other services that you take for granted may instantly become unavailable, leaving you to fend for yourself. If you're not prepared ahead of time, you may not be doing all that you can do for yourself and for your family. But thankfully, preparing for the unexpected is easier and cheaper than you may think. But you need to start now. I mean, look at what's happening around you now. Even though you might not want to think about it, the what-if possibilities in life and all, the more you can consider what's possible, the more you can prepare for what is fairly unlikely. And there's a pretty long list of bad things which could happen. Natural disasters like tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunami, wildfires, blizzards, ice storms, drought, floods, etc., etc. And then health disasters like the flu or any new virus pandemic, disease or outbreak, or any other fatal epidemics. Then there's man-made, civil, or economic disasters such as terrorist attacks, wars, nuclear meltdowns, cyber attacks, blackouts, riots, on and on and on. When a disaster takes place, well, usually the unmanageable will happen. You don't have basic utilities, such as water or electricity, leaving you unable to cook your food, wash yourself, or if it's wintertime, no electricity will put you in danger of freezing inside your own home. You can't go to the store because the stores are closed or empty or being looted. And without provisions, your home stockpile of food will become sparse, and soon you will face starvation. And in case of an earthquake, a major flooding, or martial law, you won't be able to drive anywhere to get help. The streets will be closed or unprotected. Or your car may be out of gas. No gas station will be open to sell you gas. You get the idea. Everything will come to a stack of cards crumbling, and the world that you know today will not be totally different from the devastated world of tomorrow. And while many power outages and other disruptions in your everyday services may be uncomfortable, they could very well last for weeks or months or even years. So you gotta have a plan B. But what will you do if there is no plan B and you don't have a clear idea about when you might get your services back? This is a bit of reality check for most families, in all honesty. While you may want to do anything that you can do for your family, you might not have the supplies or the plan in place to ensure the health and safety of everyone that lives in your home. Today, I want to help you figure out how to start planning and start preparing for the unthinkable. If you're feeling badly about not being prepared, you're not alone. And most importantly, it's not your fault, as you've been always lulled by the government or the media into false sense of security that everything will be fine, as if it's magic. Now, just because you're not the only one who's unprepared doesn't mean that you can count on someone else to help you out. But since you're probably one of many who may be still unprepared, then you need to focus more on getting yourself prepared, or else you might end up not getting any help at all when the disaster strikes. Pretty much everyone will be on their own. So what can you do about it, you ask? Well, today things are finally about to change for you. I don't want you to go through what my grandparents-in-law had to go through. And I don't want you to be left alone with no food, no water, medicine, or shelter. I don't want you to be afraid at all. Instead, I want you to be fully prepared and equipped with a skill set that not many Americans have. I want you to be truly safe and to be able to get through anything with the peace of mind that everything that you care for, you, your family, your house, your pets, even your car or boat, will still be there long after a crisis will pass. And that's why I've gathered all my 27 years worth of survival knowledge together, everything I've learned firsthand about coping with disaster from those who actually survived hurricanes, earthquakes, and virus pandemics. All the do's and don'ts coming from military professionals, and put them into a series of easy to follow and ready to implement survival guides that anyone can use immediately in order to secure themselves and their loved ones. And I've called this the Ultimate Survival Guide Pack. The only survival guide which will melt fear and doubt from your heart and give you the absolute power to make it through any virus, flu, or pandemic crisis, and really any other crisis as well. But before I reveal exactly what you're going to get in the Ultimate Survival Guide Pack, let's take a look at what Ron from Texas had to say. Frank, this guide is incredible. My wife and I got it yesterday. We couldn't put it down. We finished the whole thing in one day and had no idea how unprepared we were, and that scared us to death. But then, as I got further on in your guides, the fear started to melt away, just like you said. I just took those simple steps and suggested, now, I don't worry about the pandemic at all. Here's another one from Henry J. from the state of Indiana. Frank, I was a complete fool. For so many months, I listened only to people who had no idea what they were talking about. I thought I was prepared, but every day I'd find out that there was still something missing, that there was one more thing that I didn't think of. I didn't know what to do anymore. Then I got your guides. It was like a miracle. Now I can finally say that I am fully prepared. I've gone from no survival skills whatsoever to full expert survivalist in no time. And finally, I'm sure that whatever will come, I'll be among the survivors. And that's just a few of hundreds of emails that I get every day. Okay, so let me tell you what exactly you're going to get in the Ultimate Survival Guide Pack. Well,